Do you ever feel like you just have extreme difficulty picking up your hobby? Or you just feel this extreme resistance to even do the most basic things? When you try to pick up your pencil just to draw a few things and the resistance is so ridiculous you just feel like giving up? Or every time you try to pick up a book, you just can't read a few pages because you just feel bored? Regardless of which hobby you can have an instance where this may have occurred to you. Well, this can be because of many reasons, but by far the most common reason why this happens is because of superficial hobbies. Let's talk about it. A few months ago, I was interested in martial arts, and I was looking on YouTube for martial arts videos, watching which one I was gonna do. And I came across this martial arts called Krav Maga. It's basically this martial arts that's focused on real life scenarios. And the moves they were performing in these videos looked all really cool. They were really fast, and I was genuinely impressed. However, the more I looked into it, there were a lot of critiques about Krav Maga. About, for example, it's not realistic or you will barely use this in an actual scenario. So a lot of doubt was cast upon Krav Maga in my head. And that, my friends, was a simple example of superficial motivation that got stopped just in time. You likely have some superficial motivation that you still have for one of your hobbies. Here's how you know. Are your hobbies your own? That's a question towards you, dear viewer, because some of them likely aren't. Let me show you how your interest towards a hobby is developed. For this chart to make sense, we need to start at the very bottom of it. At the left bottom of the chart, we have intrinsic motivation. This is motivation that comes from completely within. Let me give you an example. When you were drawing as a kid, you were drawing because you found it fun, and not because you were forced to by someone else, or you were playing soccer outside with your friends. You played soccer because you found it fun, not because someone else forced you to. At the complete bottom right of the chart, we have extrinsic motivation. Extrinsic motivation is motivation that comes from outside towards you. For example, you see a tennis player that you like play tennis, and you are highly impressed as a child, for example. And therefore you start learning tennis because you look up to this tennis player. But eventually you become pretty good at it. So you now have the hobby of tennis, but it wasn't intrinsic. It didn't come from you, but it came to you from someone else. And in the middle of the pack, we have superficial motivation. And this one is the problem, because these are quite a few of your interests. Superficial motivation is highly focused on results or impressing. This superficial motivation is, I call it superficial because it's simply not sustainable. There's a lot of work that goes into it. And if you don't enjoy the work process, you will fail. The reason why you can't pick up your book and read a few pages is because you don't enjoy the act of reading itself, but you enjoy the results of reading. Same with drawing from the earlier example. You enjoy looking at all these cool artworks, but you don't like the process of drawing. Now, how do we fix this? Well, regardless of where the motivation comes from, we then come to the interest box in the center. And in the middle, you will see the hobby box. This is the box that basically indicates all of your hobbies. All your hobbies go into that box, regardless of where the motivation comes from. And then the hobbies can go one or two ways. You rather accept the hobbies, or you just get rid of it. I want to make a quick mention that deciding if you want to keep doing this hobby usually takes between 1 and 3 months vaguely to have a good indication of what you're actually doing. Okay, now we know how a hobby is developed, but how do we deal with superficial motivation exactly? Let me show you another chart. If you look at this chart, you might recognize it. This is the 5 stages of opportunity hopping. But very interestingly, this chart also applies to hobbies. If you look at each stage, this is roughly how hobbies go. Stage 1 is uninformed optimism. This is usually the stage where you start getting obsessed with this new hobby and start looking everything up about it. Well, that's nice and all. You don't know much yet about the hobby itself. You only know the theoretical, or you're just continuing to be impressed by the people who already do it. Once you start researching more or perhaps already practicing it, you become at stage 2, informed pessimism. This is a stage where you know everything and you realize that it's going to be harder than you originally thought. Just a quick mention, that's almost always the case. And this is usually the stage where people quit. This is also where superficial motivation is. It's around that stage, between stage 2 and stage 3. If you decide to eventually go through the struggles and try to become better, you will reach stage 3. Stage 3 is the valley of despair. This is where the biggest struggles are. Superficial motivation usually does not come here. This is where the problems occur. You're trying your best, you usually feel not that motivated to continue. But if you decide to push through, we will see stage 4, informed optimism. Now you're getting pretty good, doing well, and you're starting to see some results. So you become happier, you got good, and you're enjoying your hobby a lot more now. And then we have stage 5, success. This usually depends on the goal that you have set for the hobby. And this is the time where you say you have usually succeeded. Or you can go beyond and go for mastery. That's up to you, of course. And this is where the 5 stages of opportunity hopping ends. And now you may be thinking, but you still haven't told me how to fix superficial motivation. Well, the answer lies between stage 2 and stage 3. You need to research the tougher side of an interest before beginning. Are you willing to go through the struggles to get there? Because if that already looks demotivating to you, you won't like it. And you will eventually give up. If you decide that you are confident that you can handle it and you want to push through it because you genuinely enjoy it, go ahead. I wish you the best of luck. The key message of this video is research the tougher sides of your interest. I cannot drill this enough. You will not succeed if you don't do that. You can do everything on a surface level, but then you're gonna be the kind of person on TikTok who has 1000 hobbies and succeeds in none of them. You can't even call them hobbies. They don't even do them. And that's where the problem lies. And my goal is to make people have more hobbies. So they stop scrolling on their phones for once in their lives. So they actually do something more productive and more fulfilling. They will be happier. And so will you. Well, that's the end of this video, and I'll see you in the next one.